When it comes to religious freedom in Israel, the Western Wall isn't the only source of controversy. Last Sunday, the Israeli government voted to move ahead with a bill that will deny the validity of conversions to Judaism that are made outside of the state-sanctioned Orthodox system. The move could affect tens of thousands of people, and joining us to discuss its future impact is Knesset Member Oded Forer from the Yisrael Beteinu party. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for inviting me.
Well, you know, this is a big issue on Jewish minds, not only here in Israel, but around the world. What is your party's position in regards to this conversion bill?
Of course, we think that Israel must keep on the status quo. And I think that for years, many years, Israel decided to keep the status quo and not change the way that people can make conversion in Israel. And of course, giving the ultimate authority to the chief rabbi, that he will be the only one that can make conversion for Judaism in Israel, makes a big problem, mainly for people that came from the former Soviet Union.
Right.
And of course, Olim that come to Israel will have many problems in making conversion. And of course, I'm not talking about only, it's not about Reform or Orthodox. It's about how to make a conversion in Israel, because there are many Orthodox rabbis that don't believe in the way that the chief rabbi thinks that Orthodox rabbi need to convert other people. So I really think that it's a bad legislation. This is why we appealed on the decision, and I'm happy that the Prime Minister and the Ministers' Committee decided to freeze the legislation on the conversion legislation, and we're gonna keep and do the conversions as they are now, by rabbis from all over the country.
So can you speak to us a little bit about how this bill could be used to alienate Israeli immigrants from the former Soviet Union? Because you mentioned that in your first answer.
I can make an example. Now many conversions are made in the army by Rabbi Druckmann, or many conversions are making by rabbis from Tzohar, like even Rabbi Stav, which is the chief rabbi of Modi'in.
Right.
He can make conversion now. If the legislation will pass, those people won't be able to perform those issues and to make conversions to other people. And they make conversion a bit different than, I think, maybe Rabbi Gafni or all his party want people to make conversion, but it's an Orthodox system. Yet it's an Orthodox system.
Right.
I think that now we can make it again easier for those people and much more openly conversion and way to do conversion to Judaism. And we're talking about, when we talk about Olim, you need to understand, those are people that the father is a Jew or the grandfather is a Jew. It's not people from outside of the Jewish people. And we need to help them to embrace them when they come back to Israel and to Judaism.
You know, I think the question here is, why is this the issue? Why is this something that the Orthodox community is so focused on changing right now?
I think that the main issue is because some people went to court in order for the court to decide what kind of conversion can we recognize or what kind can't we. I think that in those issues we don't need to deal through courts. We need to deal through negotiation together with all the groups in the Jewish people. And going to court is, I think, a bad direction that some people went through this direction. I'm happy that now there is a decision to freeze all procedures in court
for another 6 months at least, right?
Yeah, and I think that we can make some agreements. Of course, like before the 1990s, chief rabbis in any city could make conversion. And of course, the ultra-Orthodox stopped this issue in the 1990s. I think that we can come back to such a situation as we had before, and this will solve the problem. Of course, it's going to be still by chief rabbis in the cities, but you can choose what kind of rabbi in what city you want to convert.
Well, and also in what kind of sect of Judaism that you associate with, if you're conservative or Reform. I mean, this is something that kind of goes, it goes back to the fundamental Jewish identity and where you place yourself anyhow within that. So, you know, let's talk also a little bit about the Kotel, the Western Wall. Do you know, believe that the government's cancellation or, you know, freezing of the egalitarian prayer space is going to affect your constituents specifically?
I think that it's not about who is it going to affect. It's going to affect the Jewish people.
Right.
If there are some people in the Jewish people that feel unwanted because this decision, we need to change the decision. And of course, we need to remember the Kotel deal was a decision that this government got, even before we were part of the coalition, with the Haredic, the ultra-Orthodox parties in the coalition. So I think that maybe now, I told it to my friends from the diaspora, I think that they shouldn't have celebrated then when the Kotel deal was issued and
They should have
announced,
waited until it was
and
implemented.
say we won. And I tell also to my ultra-Orthodox friends, don't say that you won now, because the Jewish people lost in this whole issue. I think that we need, again, to sit together, all the streams in the Judaism, and to decide and to find a way to live together and still to keep it in our home.
Well, speaking of living together, we're running out of time, so if you could just give us a quick answer to our final question. You know, you recently promoted a bill that would allow immigrants to receive an Israeli passport almost immediately upon arrival. Now, why did you do that? There has been about a lot of people speaking out against this move.
First of all, we need to remember, decades ago, people could get their passports, and then when the big aliyah from former Soviet Union started, they stopped it and said, hey, we don't want to give many passports, because people came to Israel, took the passports, and flew out from Israel. And now I think it's a different issue. In 2017, many people come to Israel, do aliyah, and still work abroad. They have a business in France or in Russia or even in the United States, and they fly to their business in Sunday, come back in Thursday, and still the main life is in Israel, the families live in Israel. Those people don't need to go and travel around the world with a transition pass, which has many restrictions on it. They can get an Israeli passport. I think that it was a legislation that
it seems like this is a move that will ultimately help people like myself. You know, we make aliyah, but we still feel connected to the outside world, the country that we came from.
Even Israelis that live in Israel and were born in Israel still find themselves making business abroad and fly in Sunday, come back in Friday, and no one counts the days and see, oh, you weren't enough days in Israel, you can't get a passport.
Well, you know, I think we're going to just kind of have to see how this plays out, you know, if we implement
we
this
passed
bill.
the legislation.
We passed legislation. What is it going to look like?
In a month from now, people will be able to come to the Internal Affairs Ministry and ask, I want a passport.
Well, now's the time to make aliyah, I guess.
Yeah.
All right, well, thank you so much for joining us, Knesset Member Oded Forer.
Thank you.